Good morning. This is the Innovation Conversation. How you doing, Tom?
I'm good, Kevin. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Although I wish our Jets were doing better.
Uh, well, we should say you're feeling that pain because you were at the Jets Raiders game.
I was at the Jets Raiders game, which was an awesome experience until the score, until the final interception. But what a great time! And I would advocate for anybody if your team is playing against the Raiders in Vegas, make a weekend of it. It was really, really fun.
I was talking to my son, and he said we should wait until, because I think this week Major League Baseball is supposed to approve the Athletics going to Las Vegas. And if they do that, my son already looked at me and says, okay, we have to wait till they're playing there, and then we do a road trip on a September day where we can go to a football game and a baseball game.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And I think they were
well, you can come meet us.
Well, I would love to when the Mets
you bring your sons, I'll bring mine.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome. And I think I know one of the stadium sites, I don't know if it's the final one, is where the Tropicana is, right there at that main intersection.
Right.
That'd be an awesome spot.
Oh yeah. And that's I've stayed in that hotel, and it is not a pleasant experience. It was aging then, and that's a long time ago. Okay.
Well, so, what's not aging these days?
I'll try not to take that personally. The fascinating story this week, analysis coming out from Insider Intelligence, saying that basically Walmart has it continues to pull far ahead of Amazon in terms of e-grocery. That they're going to pass 25% of the e-grocery market this year. Amazon share is going to drop below 20%. First of all, I just wanted to get what was your reaction when you saw those numbers? I have to say I was a little surprised by the gap, and also that the fact is the gap is widening, which may speak more to, I don't know if it speaks more about what Walmart's doing, but also what Amazon does not seem to be doing at the moment, which is they're retrenching, so they're not being as inventive as they were just a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the Amazon side, we're seeing that. I think that's definitely a deliberate act, though, on their part, that they didn't feel like they had the right model to continue to put a bunch of investment behind, to continue to lose money and maybe not hit the mark. So I get and understand, and would, as a shareholder, support Amazon thinking harder about that. But as far as the Walmart growth over Amazon now, I think it stands to reason. If you look at, the starting point that Walmart's always had, as the largest grocer in the U.S., you look at their proximity to population, they're within a couple miles of 90% of at least a short distance, 90% of the U.S. population. And they're building a really good offering. So, the combination of those things, it does stand to reason that they would be getting, good scale pretty fast, and pulling out ahead of Amazon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that gap continue to widen for the next year or two. While Amazon figures out their offering. But I would hope that Amazon gets to an offering that does make sense, and can scale and can recapture that gap.
It's interesting. I mean, they have said they're going to start reopening, opening stores again, fresh stores. Let's see what they look like when they reopen them. I mean, the description does not sound to me like overly ambitious. Maybe they've gotten tired of being overly ambitious. They decided we just need to have location. I'm not sure. But it's also interesting to me that even as Walmart widens the gap between it and Amazon on e-grocery, I mean, Amazon is still predicted by some analysts to be in terms of total sales, to be larger than Walmart. Maybe by some people are still saying 2024. That seems, I don't know if that's if that's going to prove out, but certainly in the next couple of years, that it's likely that Amazon's going to have more total sales than Walmart. And at the present time, Amazon still has a much larger e-commerce market share, which is to say something like 40% compared to compared to Walmart's 7%.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating how, to me, the degree to which grocery is the difference maker, right? In some ways, that is where Walmart, a company that wasn't in grocery 30 years ago, 35
Yeah.
years ago, that's where it's putting distance between itself and Amazon and other companies as well.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Amazon's or Walmart, we'll mix them up. Walmart's big growth engine over the last 30 years has been grocery, right? And they've gone from not a non-player to far and away the most dominant, single retailer player in the US. And, it is not lost on Amazon at all that they need to win in grocery to be, and not so much to say to be the largest retailer, and grow and maintain and grow that lead. It's really about the customer, right? So much of household spend is grocery related, that if you're not playing that role for your customer, you're leaving a gap there, and you're leaving yourself competitively vulnerable to anyone else. So I think it is really key. I mean, Amazon is such the go-to place for so many purchases for so many households, that for a while now their overall retail growth is going to continue, and they will pass Walmart just because of that. But if they don't get grocery right, that will be, I think, an Achilles heel and an inhibitor to their ultimate potential, and will always leave them somewhat competitively vulnerable in markets. So I think it's key. And I know we're hearing about the few new stores that they have open in the new format, and it's an improvement over what was a pretty abysmal experience prior. I would say, again, I haven't been to one, but you read the reports, and none of the reports are glowing, right? The reports are like, yeah, it's better. They screwed it up less.
Not a high bar.
No, it's not a high bar. And, I think for Amazon really to win in this, overall grocery share, which the e-grocery part of grocery will grow with, they have to get that store experience right. Between a combination of Whole Foods, their grocery/fresh format, they got to get those physical formats right, and then they have to build the complementary e-grocery strategy, around those offerings in those markets. Because to win in grocery, you have to win omni, right? You have to win from digital engagement to variety of shopping experiences, and be able to deliver on that customer promise across those. And, I think right now, when you look at Amazon's efforts there, they've got an okay, kind of store improvement effort. And maybe there's more to come. We hope that there's more to come. We hope that there's a lot more than we've seen coming there, or else I think it's going to be a tough road to hoe for them. And then what are they going to do from an e-commerce standpoint, for grocery in those markets? They're serving many markets now with some, obviously their Amazon.com platform that's parcel delivered, they can serve anywhere. But the balance of the grocery needs that involve any kind of temperature control or freshness, I think they're still pretty far short of where they could be there. But I still, I give them, they're a tenacious bunch. And I do give them, a pretty good level of hope that they'll get there, but they definitely have some work to do to get there.
Yeah, and the thing I always keep coming back to is they've just they also, as they develop these physical stores, they've got to figure out effective ways of connecting the dots, right?
Absolutely.
And it has always been amazing to me. Again, I've said this here before, right? I go to a Whole Foods that's a half a mile away from my house regularly, not for big purchases, but little purchases. I've been an Amazon customer since 96 or 97. I've been to every Amazon Go store in the country. I've been to a lot of Amazon Fresh stores. And at no point does there ever seem to be a connect the dots effort on their part and you would think that I would be, no pun intended, a prime target for that, right? So a Prime member and a Subscribe and Save member. And at no point do they do that. And it seems to me that's going to be, as much as they need the physical stores, they need to figure out a way to connect those dots and be, the thing we always talk about here, you got to figure out ways to be closer to the customer. And for a company that is, talks about being customer obsessed, they do a really crappy job in some ways.
It's super fragmented. Yeah, it's super fragmented across the grocery offering. I think they did their press release about the universal cart, right? So you could have one cart that kind of moves with you across Amazon formats in grocery, and that does make a bunch of sense. Like Amazon should absolutely have, if not a cart, at least a universal list that works across those, and that you can easily move your offering between them. Now, that's not easy to accomplish, but it's absolutely can be accomplished. That's one place they need to be. And then, yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just so many opportunities for building a holistic, experience across those, and they just haven't been able to do it. And you can envision ways that could be pretty powerful to make that happen. So hopefully they'll crack the code. Definitely would be it's just so intriguing to think about the possibilities. You hope that they can get there.
And that, to me, also speaks to the importance for everybody who competes against them, right? And by the way, you talk about the Walmart versus Amazon, but now you have this potential Kroger Albertsons mashup, which is going to have a significant amount of size, still smaller, significantly smaller than Walmart, but in terms of physical locations, and Kroger's clear focus on really figuring out the e-commerce aspect of their business with everything they're doing with Ocado. I mean, there's another big player in there too, that potentially could eat away at some of Amazon's market share, e-grocery market share, right? Down the pike. But there's also, it seems to me, this underlines for every other retailer why it's so important to figure out how to get closer to the customer.
Yeah.
Right? To eliminate friction, to figure out how to really tap into what customers want and do, and use the tools that are available to them. Some of them technological, and some of them just high touch, to figure out how to do that. Because that's going to be, again, I keep coming back to this. That's who the winners are going to be, the ones who figure that out. And by the way, that's what Walmart is figuring out. Yeah,
Walmart's definitely figuring it out. I think they're offering, across their store-based offering, their pickup offering, what they do in delivery. I think it's very strong. And I think there are a bunch of other players, from the Kroger Albertsons combo, to, frankly, I think Target is not in a terrible spot to be able to really step up their grocery game and claim some share.
They got some work to do.
They do have work to do. They have a lot of work to do. But I think that they've got the basis that they could get there. And then it's really the regionals and the independents, and those are the companies that are in a starting position that's really close to their customers. Now their customers are getting wooed by the likes of Walmart and Amazon and the bigger players. But they do have a unique opportunity to just provide that strong, unique value to their customers that their customers can't live without. They really got to strive for that. And then, they have to also have all the the omni experiences delivered within that.
Hey, before we go, one thing I wanted to come back to was a story we had on Morning News Beat about how the FTC is basically looking at Prime, Amazon's Prime offerings, and the way it bundles all these different things together. Stuff we've talked about for years as being a competitive advantage, right, for Amazon. Because at the bottom line is, the more people are attracted by more offerings on Prime, they become members, and then they spend more on Amazon. So it becomes a real engine of growth for them. And now the FTC seems to be suggesting that is not just a competitive advantage, but it is, I don't know if the word is illegal, but it's certainly an improper competitive advantage, the way they use it and bundle things together. I was curious what your reaction was to that, because I thought Prime was a good thing, and suddenly the FTC is saying, not so much.
Well, you remember the Bezos quote that he wants Prime to be so good that folks feel irresponsible, right, to not be members. you know, that you just keep providing so much value for the price that, you know, you have to stay there. But
Right.
that's, you have to stay there, like you choose to stay there,
Right.
not that you're, you know, you don't have the freedom of choice to not stay there.
It would be
Um,
irresponsible not to be a member.
it'd be irresponsible not to be a member, right? You know, not that it's, you know, it's anti-competitive because you're stuck being a member and there's no way you can leave it. Now, they did have, you know, the dark practices or whatever that they were called out for making it hard to unsubscribe. So, you know, good that they've fixed that. It should always be really easy to unsubscribe. There's nothing more, no better way to, you know, erode customer trust than, you know, make it hard for them to opt out. But this idea that more bundled in is anti-competitive, you know, I don't know. I mean, you and I have talked about, you know, should Amazon consider unbundling some of it? You know, have a free shipping option, a free fast shipping option. You can always have you always get free shipping as a non-Prime member. It just takes longer. You know, but could you unbundle it and take a couple of the services, you know, maybe offer it for less, but maybe because I don't want to do streaming music and I don't want to do, I don't know, prescriptions or whatever within there, that I could get, you know, I could have a lower price. Yeah, that could make sense. But so many services have different.
Except the Wall Street Journal, I think it was the Journal story about this originally, made the point that they considered it and said, no, we're not going to unbundle. That's the last thing. You know, that's the last thing we want to do. It will put us at a competitive disadvantage. So they've looked at that and said, no.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you know, we'll see what, you know, I mean, we'll see, but you know, I'm sure they based that on some data that showed them that wasn't the right way to go. But I do wonder if you'd end up with more Prime customers using it, you know, in beneficial ways if you did give some folks the opportunity for a lower price that didn't include all of it. But still, for the current price, for a year for what you get, I mean, compared to what you pay for, you know, other subscriptions, be it streaming services or your mobile device or whatever, you know, that's seems like a pretty good deal. You know, I don't know. I still I understand why they would say we want to keep it all together because of the value, and you know, maybe if they did, you know, offer less. I mean, you know, is it strictly a revenue because it's numbers times the higher rate? And then if you broke it out and took those numbers times those less rates, it would be that much less? Or do they really feel like if you would lose Prime customers if you unbundled it, right? If you offered some, because that's the key. It's just you want as many Prime customers as you can, because that, you know, that's your customer base, and that drives the engagement, and that drives volume.
It's an interesting construct, right? Because you could say that Amazon has created Prime in its mind to be so good for customers that customers, you know, that you keep them, right? And then the FTC turns around and almost is saying, yeah, but you're so good at it that people can't get out of it, and that's anti-competitive to everybody else. And it's and I'm sort of it's funny. I find myself, I'm a little sympathetic to the FTC trying to figure out how to redefine competition, because I think competition has not been redefined for, you know, since Teddy Roosevelt was doing antitrust.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the case, but you know, then I worry that I'm being too much of an Amazon fanboy and maybe I'm not seeing the big picture. I don't know.
No, I get it. Well, what was another retailer or another, you know, company in some other industry where they're able to offer prices that are so low that their customers can't go anywhere else because it's such a good deal? Is that anti-competitive, or is that just being a good competitor?
Well, and it's the thing we're going to find is that I mean, it depends on how it all breaks out, right? And this is another innovation conversation, but is Amazon really doing anything that Walmart's not doing? Now, Walmart's doing it differently, but you know, I suspect that when you compare their business practices, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And
Again,
so,
you know, I don't know. I mean, having been inside Amazon, I think, you know, it had been a while, but and just observing Amazon from up close, they're a really good competitor, and they obsess over their customer. Now, yes, we've had debates on some elements of the experience that have degraded for business reasons, and that's a whole other conversation that's valid to have, and it's a valid criticism of Amazon. But I think if you look at both Amazon and Walmart and what they're doing, they're trying to be a better competitor. They're trying to be better for their shareholders. They're trying to be better for their customers. And I don't know, as a customer and an industry person, I don't see on either case them doing anything anti-competitive. But
well,
I'm one vote.
Yeah, well, and you don't get one in this case.
No, I don't get one. Yeah, exactly.
Not being on the FTC.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It'll be really interesting because they are trying to redefine competition, but it'll be interesting. They can't just go after Amazon, right? It seems to me if you go after Amazon in this, then you have to look at every major retailer out there and look at all of their business practices, all of their pricing mechanisms, all of their slotting allowances and fees and promotions and things like that. And by the way, in some ways you could say, well, Kroger and Albertsons, they want to be bigger so they can be just like Amazon and Walmart. And then maybe that's the best reason for the FTC to say no to Kroger and Albertsons. I mean, it's a mess, but it's gonna be an interesting mess that'll give us a lot to talk about.
Yes, it'll be more fun to watch than our Jets and Mets.
Yeah. God, I hope that's not true. Hey, listen, thank you as always. Appreciate it. You always make me smarter, man.
Oh, likewise.
Take care. See you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.